Kaitlyn, welcome to the Jewelry Business Academy podcast. It's so good to finally have you joining me here.
Yes, it's good to be here.
I am so excited to have you on the podcast. So, I think you've been in the Jewelry Business Academy for quite some time now. You've been to two
Yep.
jewelry business retreats.
Yes.
And so, there's so much that I want us to talk about. And, you've also gone through massive pivots within your business.
hmm
And I know you've learned a lot along the way. So I'm really excited to have you here. I'm really excited for us to be diving in together. But before we dive into any of that, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners and share a little bit of how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. So my name's Kaitlyn. I'm the owner of Chiara Rose Jewelry. I started making jewelry in 2013 after taking a metalsmithing class. I instantly fell in love with the process of working with silver. A few years ago, I found myself in a low place and was just looking for more connection in my life. So I joined my local rockhounding group and started searching for gems and minerals, and that became something that just completely reignited my joy in life again. And so now I am combining my love of metalsmithing and rockhounding to create handmade silver jewelry featuring gemstones that I've discovered, cut, and polished myself. And each piece is created to help others feel connected and confident, the same way creating them helped me.
Oh my
So,
goodness. I love this so much, Caitlin. And I'd love to throw back even further because I know your
okay.
story actually started even further back. And I believe you first fell in love with silversmithing when you were back in college. Is that correct?
Yes, 2013
Yeah.
is when I took a metalsmithing class. Yes, and it was in college. I was in my undergrad at that time,
Hmm.
and I, I was into all things art, everything art growing up. I started drawing, painting, airbrush painting, woodworking, all kinds of things. Still am, but when I took that metalsmithing class as one of my art electives, I loved it.
Mm.
So it was kind of no turning back at that point.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And what would you say that kind of awoken in you? Because it's one thing to love something and enjoy a class and something like at college, it's another thing to end up pursuing it and building a whole business around it. And I can see from having worked with you for years now, having spoken to you about this, you have a huge passion for silversmithing. So
Yeah.
what does this kind of awaken within you that never really went away?
Um, Joy. Honestly, it's just the joy of it. But working with the metal, forming the metal, there's so many different techniques within metalsmithing. I'm always learning new techniques and being able to create new pieces that are just beautiful, right? And it's taking something that looks, not so pretty. It's just a piece of metal, and then you turn it into something that's just really pretty, really beautiful. And yeah, just working with my hands, being able to bring that creativity side to life, really, with the metal is just that's really the part that I fell in love with, right? Like because I started drawing and everything like that, I kind of took that and the designing of the pieces is kind of where that creativity of the art comes into play for me. And then also working with my hands a lot more than just paper to pencil to paper. And being able to actually create it in like 3D was really cool.
Oh wow. Yeah, I can totally see that being able to bring your visions and stuff from drawings to actually like this physical product.
hmm
There's nothing quite like that. And I find it fascinating because you obviously still you have your full-time career still, and we won't really dive into that too much. But I know it's completely different from the
Yes.
jewelry. It couldn't be
Yes.
further, like it couldn't be more opposite. Talk to us
Yes,
about
absolutely.
what that's like. Like, why jewelry? Why this jewelry business? What is it that you love so much about building a jewelry business?
Well, so I think because I've always been that creative person, when I was trying to decide my career, it was one of those things where I didn't want having to depend on my creativity to fund my fund my life essentially, to have to pay my bills and everything like that based off of that. I wanted it to be something that I just enjoyed doing, and it kind of the reason why I chose not to go into art originally was because I felt like it might stunt that creativity to have to depend on it to live, right? To pay the bills and all that kind of thing. And so I was really worried about that at first, which is why I did choose a different career path, which I do enjoy that career as well, but there's different aspects to that, and that particular career path is completely different. And unfortunately, the two kind of conflict a little bit. But when jewelry and metalsmithing kind of came into the picture, I just realized that I don't think it would ever be a chore to work with the metal and to create the metal such that that creativity wouldn't ever be there. And that's really why I was like, I do want to make this into a jewelry business. And and so it's just I've just been taking steps to get there, you know,
Mhm.
um, one step at a time.
One step at a time, and you're doing
Hmm.
an amazing job at that, Caitlin. And it's definitely not easy juggling, a full-time, very, very demanding career with a business on the side. What's that really been like for you behind the scenes? How do you keep
Oh,
showing up for your business? I know it's scrappy. I know it's not as consistent as maybe you'd like it to be, but how do you keep showing up even on some of the days where, your job has taken everything from you?
honestly, it's jewelry is always in the back of my mind, so that's the one thing that, like, my goal is to get to that point where I can go into jewelry full time, right? And so, joining JBA, joining the group calls as much as I can, and just trying to take little steps, literally one step at a time, to eventually get to that goal, right? I know it's going to
Mhm.
take me a little bit longer, but I also have some some points in life where I think it might be a little bit more doable, and I might be able to jump in a little bit more here in
Yeah.
a couple of years.
Yeah, I love that because
So
what I'm hearing is that you've recognized that there's different seasons of life, and you're
absolutely,
going through a season right now where the career takes, it takes precedence, and the jewelry will have its season. It will have its time in the hopefully near future where it can be your focus.
yeah.
So I love that, Caitlin. Now, one of my favorite things about what you do is that you had a powerful shift in your brand, and I think probably in your life as well, very not
Yes.
so recently, maybe about in the last year or so, where you got into rock hounding. So
Yes.
let's just talk about that for a second. Like, what is rock hounding for anyone who's like, what the heck is that?
Yes, a lot of people actually don't know the term. It's kind of fun. So essentially, it is just searching for gems and minerals. If you think of like a hound dog, they go out and search, and it's just going out to search for rocks and minerals.
Mm,
And uh, you know, New Mexico, which is where I live, is actually very prolific in a lot of different gems and minerals, and so I get to go and search for so many different things. And yeah, that's just been an amazing thing to start getting into and learning and that kind of thing as well.
yeah, it's a whole other side to the business that not everyone
Absolutely.
gets the opportunity to kind of get involved in. What I
Yeah.
love about it is not only has it helped you, I know it ties into what you shared at the very beginning, where, you went through some tough seasons of life personally.
Hmm.
And the rock hounding, how did that help you find yourself again? How did that help you
Yeah.
get connected to community again? How has that impacted you personally?
Yeah. So I had just gotten into a low place. You know, a lot of things were happening in life, multiple different aspects. And, I was just feeling so low. And, it was just me and my dog, at home. And I just didn't have a lot of, interaction with people, that kind of thing. I was struggling with a lot of different things. And I just knew I couldn't continue being alone. Right. And so I needed to find people, to find people that I enjoyed hanging out with a lot more, right? I had my friends, but they also had their lives, their kids, that kind of thing. They were traveling, doing those things. And so I just needed to find something for me that could get me out of the house and that I just have more interaction with other people. And so jewelry is actually kind of what brought me into the rockhounding scene as well, because I took a lapidary class, and lapidary is the polishing and shaping, cutting of stones.
Hmm.
And so I took a metalsmithing class, or metalsmithing class, a lapidary class at a studio. I was renting space there for a time. And so I took their lapidary class, and that teacher is in the rockhounding group. And so that's how I found out about this rockhounding group. And because it has that, you know, um, I could do the lapidary work for jewelry and stuff like that. That just really intrigued me. And so I ended up wanting to go into the rockhounding group and going to go see how it was. And the first trip I went on with the group there was actually to Colorado. It's Creed, Colorado for the Last Chance Mine. And that's the stone I'm using now in my collection is actually from that trip. And that trip was just so amazing. I got to connect with a few people there in the group, and I got to kind of room with them, which kind of immersed me more in the world there. And they started teaching me about the different gems and minerals and those kinds of things. And I started loving life again, right? I started enjoying being able to go out. We did once a month rockhound trips and those kinds of things, and we'd get together sometimes even outside of that. And then we also have the club meetings that we'd be able to go to, and so it just got me out more and got me connected with other people that like rocks just as I do. So yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful. It's so beautiful how when we follow our passions and we try new things and stuff, our world opens up in so many more ways than just opening up this opportunity for your business. Like it's opened up this whole
Yeah.
new friendship group, this whole new sense of purpose and connection. And I just love that. I think it's a beautiful reminder to anyone listening to, follow those things that you're feeling called to explore, and those passions that you have, and to try new things and to get outside your comfort zone, because there's so much growth, there's so much expansion, there's so much
Yep.
connection that happens on the other side of that. And like we'll talk about that as well, because obviously you've come to 2 retreats now. You are very good at
Hmm.
stepping outside your comfort zone and getting immersed in community, Kaitlyn, and I love that so much. But when we look at, you're obviously taking these pieces that you've found while you're rock hounding
Hmm.
on these exploratory trips, and then you're turning them into pieces of jewelry. So when you're in your studio and you're working with these pieces, what kind of energy or story are you trying to infuse into these designs? Like, how do you want someone to feel when they wear your jewelry?
Confident. That's the
Confident.
one word that just comes to mind, right? Is because and just that joy, the confidence, like when I put on the pieces, I feel like am taller, right? I feel like I have the ability to step out of that comfort zone actually, because I'm actually more of an introvert, and I'm trying to get outside of that and try to talk to people and be more comfortable about doing that. So I will try and force myself to do that sometimes. And it turns out great in the end, because then I get all these new friends and everything like that. And I think just when creating these pieces and that kind of thing, I want people to be able to feel that confident and feel that they can do what they want and need to do for themselves.
Confidence is such a big one. So I love that because I mean we all need more confidence, especially introverts, especially like I'm an introvert as well, so I totally understand that. And I think it's beautiful that you're taking these pieces that you find in the earth, turning them into gorgeous pieces of jewelry that your customers can then take and wear and wear as a reminder to step into that most confident version of themselves. Use it as that
Mhm.
permission slip to go and be that version of themselves that they've been
Yep.
dreaming of being. And I know a lot of people listening, you know, we have a mix of designers here at different stages of business, but at some point or another, a lot of business owners struggle with visibility, especially showing their face or talking about their work online. Has that been a challenge for you? You know, and I know it's something you're still working through, but talk to us a little bit about your journey and how you've learned to kind of slowly step outside your comfort zone there and show up and take up more space.
Yeah, so it's complex for me because my corporate job, this is kind of how it works against me for my jewelry business, is that I want to, stay in this bubble. I don't want to be sharing out. I don't want to be, the privacy concerns, all those kinds of things is always a big deal for me. And, I was raised not to post on social media, all those kinds of things. So it has definitely been a big challenge to, try and get comfortable with posting on social media and just, being more visible for the business. I think I'm getting there. It's still a work in progress. I think one of the big things for me is also just trying to, uh, you know, learn social media and figure out what kinds of things to be posting, those kinds of things. I struggle with that a lot too, just because I'm not one to be sitting on social media and like we say the doom scrolling and stuff like that. That's not me, unless I'm bored, and I'm very rarely bored, or
Yeah,
have like nothing to
you're
do.
you've
So
got a busy schedule.
yeah, so I'm typically not on social media either. So that's part of, well, what kinds of things should I be posting? What should I be talking about? Those kinds of things. So it's it's kind of, trying to actually be confident in showing up, trying to connect to, my customers, and also just learning what to actually post. But it's it's getting easier. And it's one of those things that I'm just going to continue working on and continuing to show up. So
Yeah, I love that. It's one of those things that gets easier the more you practice, and the more you practice
yeah,
putting yourself out there, getting fearful, getting anxious, seeing that the
yeah,
sun rises the next morning after you've posted something with your face in it. And it's like, oh, okay, we're good. And then we just keep
yeah.
putting those reps in. So I love that, Caitlin. And so let's talk a little bit about the retreat because it was such a beautiful weekend. I know
Hmm.
you came to last year's retreat and this year's retreat.
Yeah.
And so what made you decide to come to both retreats?
So the first one was because I want to be successful in my business. I want to grow my business, and I just knew that, in working with you through JBA, like after every group call, I just feel so much more inspired to, okay, let's get more done. Let's do more things in the business, right? And so a weekend of immersed in the retreat and immersed in JBA, essentially, I was just I knew that that would probably be exactly what I needed for my business, and it was. So that was my decision for the first one. And once I went and experienced it, It was exactly that. It was exactly what I needed in my business and in me, actually, even in life. I came back, you know, amazed that it not only helped in, in my confidence and in my business, but also just in life in general. And so there was no question as to coming back for the second one. It was already like that's a done deal.
Oh
um,
my gosh.
yeah, so
I love that.
I'm actually really sad that the third that next year isn't happening. So I'm waiting for the next one.
I know we're already planning the next one. It's gonna
Good.
most likely be in 2027, and I'm honestly so excited. But
Yep.
yeah, I'm so glad that you had that experience, Kaitlyn. It reminds me of a quote I just read before we hopped on this podcast, actually, and it went something along the lines of, building a business is hard. But the hardest part of building a business is actually building the version of you that is like stepping into that role. And I feel like that aligns so much with the work that we do at the retreats. It's helping you
Yeah.
like look at those stories that you have been holding us back and keeping us safe, and looking at those limiting beliefs and looking at like the low hanging fruits that we can kind of pull to like up level ourselves and step into that CEO version and get more energy and get more focus and get more clarity and more confidence and more strategic in business.
Yeah.
And so I love hearing that. So can you share a favorite moment or win or breakthrough that you experienced during this last retreat?
Oh, um, honestly, it's the culmination of everything. I think the other thing too is, so because I am doing that pivot within my business as well, part of it is how to share my story in such a way that's effective. And we did an exercise on kind of that two minute pitch.
Yeah.
That and then I think that was probably one of the biggest things for me. Actually, it was just because once I had that, it was like clarity for my vision going forward on what my business should be doing going forward and what I wanted to be doing going forward. Like I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't have the words on how to express that. And I think that right there just kind of solidified exactly what it was for me and how I wanted to go with this new direction. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that's so powerful. I'm so glad that this came at the perfect time while you're in the
Oh, it
middle of
was.
this pivot. It's like it
Yeah.
couldn't be better because you don't want to go and double down on marketing and growth when you haven't got that offer refined, and the wording is really important because it does
Mhm.
impact the marketing. So I love that so much. And how did you feel like when you left the retreat, both personally and in your business? Like how are you feeling about your business and about life again?
Energized, and I have more conviction, right? Just
Mm.
wanting to really drive the business forward. And yeah, that's the biggest thing. We also did this exercise where we have a word that we have to hold on to, and I know one of the things for me that was kind of holding me back is I have my corporate job, and so my jewelry business is something that I what I was saying is that it's my side business, right? Or it's the hobby that I created into a business, right? And so one of those things is like, well, am I really a jeweler kind of thing, am I a jewelry business owner? And so the word that I ended up choosing, and it's actually two words, but was own it, right? And for me, it
Oh,
was
nice.
own that I am a jewelry business owner, own that I am a jeweler, regardless of the fact that I have two jobs. So,
Yeah, that's so powerful, Caitlin. So, so powerful. I see so many people referring to their business, especially when they have a corporate job that does take up the majority of time, as a hobby or just a little thing on the side. And it doesn't help us in stepping into that CEO energy and growing that business. And that mindset shift of, no, no, this is a legit business, we're growing it. And you're owning that role, you're owning that title, you're owning like that business. I love that so so much. And
Yeah.
I know you threw a couple of words out around how you felt from the retreat, like energized and all of that. But if you had to capture the whole weekend in just 3 words, what would they be?
Motivated,
Mm,
uh, energized, and community.
amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. The
JBA community
community aspect.
is, yeah, it's amazing.
I know I'm biased, but I 100% agree. Like, I don't think there's another community like ours out there. Like,
Yeah.
the level of support for of one another is just unreal, and the depth of the friendships, especially at the
Hmm.
retreat, is just unmatched. Like, I feel like so many people make their lifelong besties at these retreats. It kind of felt like university college vibes. We had so many people staying in hotels with each other, and it was
Yep.
hanging out long after the coaching. I think some of you guys were chatting till like 11, 12 at night. And it was so powerful. It was so much fun. Have you forgiven me for the hike yet? Did you enjoy the hike?
Well, so, okay, so I did the hike on the first retreat. And so,
Mm.
yes, I have totally forgiven you for the hike. I actually don't, I like the hikes, so I'm good with that. That was really fun. I know it was a little difficult, but no, I really enjoyed the hike. I actually didn't do the hike on this second go round because I had a personal challenge that I had the opportunity to do. I recently actually just posted about this on Instagram. There in the Okanagan Lake, they had jet skis. And it was one of
Oh,
those things where I have been wanting to do so for so long. Um,
yeah.
and you know, I've done it once with my family, but my mom was driving, and so that was when I was really young. Um, and so it was kind of one of those things where I had the opportunity to do it, and um, I was so nervous about doing it. And it was one of these things where I was like, it was in my mind is like Robyn would tell you, just, just do it kind of thing, right? Like, own it. Do messy action is the term. And
Yeah.
so it was kind of one of those things where I was like, it was a personal challenge that I just really wanted to do. And I ended up doing that.
That's okay. I did not know this. This is tea to me. Caitlin, that's so much fun. Now I feel like we
Yes.
need to do a jet ski experience with everyone.
Oh, it was,
That sounds like
yeah.
so
Well,
much fun. And what a way to step outside your comfort zone.
yes, it was. Like I loved the idea of jet skiing so much. Like I had so much fun when I was, 10 years old on the jet ski
Mm.
behind, sitting on the back behind my mom. But it was one of those things where I was so scared to do it, especially alone. And I just wanted to challenge myself to do it. So I did it, and I had a blast. So,
Oh my
and I
gosh,
got all
I
my
love that.
content too.
I love it. And this just reminds me, this is why we do things like the hike. I know you didn't come this time around, but you did the first time around. But you went and did your own version of a physical, scary challenge, essentially. Is that when we're doing the work at the retreat, like it's pretty intense. Like there's tears,
Oh
it's a
yeah.
lot. We go deep into different layers and stories with everyone there. And it's so important for us to like also move our bodies. We can't just be sitting there for 3 days straight. So we are integrating, and then we're moving, and then we're doing other work, and we're doing different experiences to challenge our bodies in different ways, and challenge our minds, and challenge
Hmm.
us, and build our confidence in that way. And so I think this is just such a beautiful way for you to like really like step into that next level version of you who doesn't have fear around these things, and who just goes and, well, maybe has fear, but has the courage to take action anyway. So
Yeah.
I love that. And would you recommend the retreat to anyone listening who wants to join us at the next one?
100%. 100%. Yeah, there's no question about it. I absolutely love the retreat. I absolutely love the motivation and the energy that I get from it. So,
Mm,
and the confidence, right, that I get from it. And, you know, not only working with you, but also being able to meet people in person, right?
mhm.
All the other jewelers in person. There's, it's so different meeting people in person. And you make those connections become a lot closer. And you're able to talk to people a lot more and dive deeper and those kinds of things. So yeah, 100% would totally recommend.
I love that. Yeah, I'm so, so excited for the next one. And you've obviously been in the JBA for a while now. For anyone thinking of joining us in the JBA, what would you say based on your experience?
Don't hesitate. Don't hesitate. The level of support that we get from you, that we get from other jewelers, the information that you have in all of our modules, the information that we get from the group calls and the motivation we get from the group calls, it all plays into it. It all helps with every step of the business, And any questions we have, we get to come and ask, you at the group calls or the Facebook group. And so that support's always there.
Mm. Well, I love that, Caitlin. I'm so glad that you've had such a wonderful experience, and I'm excited for your first ever podcast. We tried to do this a
Yes.
while ago, so I'm glad we finally got this in the books. And I'm putting it out there right now that we're bringing you back on in a couple of months to hear your updates and hear the wins that you're celebrating. So no pressure, but we're bringing you back on. So
Okay.
I want to hear
Sounds
about
good.
this pivot. I want to hear what's happened, what's changed, what milestones you're celebrating. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap this up? Anything we haven't touched on that you wanted to share about?
No, you touched on a lot, I'm looking forward to this new pivot, right? With incorporating the Rockhound, the gems and stuff like that I've collected into the business, and bringing all that to life. So yeah, and
Mm.
thank you for the JBA. So
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Caitlin. This has been so wonderful. And I know we're going to have listeners who are inspired by your journey and they want to follow along and connect. So, where can our listeners find you and how can they support you?
yeah, so on Instagram, Chiara Rose Jewelry. I'm also on Facebook page under the same. And then I have my website, chiararosejewelry.com as well.
Amazing. We will link all of those in the show notes. But thank you again for joining me. This has been so wonderful, Caitlin, and can't wait for the next one.
Yes, it's been great talking to you. I look forward to it as well.